Imagine downloading an app, right? Just hoping to find a genuine connection.
Right.
And then you realize the platform's algorithm is, well, it's actively hunting you.
Yeah, it is a seriously stark reality check.
It really is. Today, we are looking at why international dating platforms aren't the romantic global villages we want them to be.
Yeah.
For a lot of users, they are, frankly, highly calibrated digital minefields.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you introduce borderless communication, you don't just open the door to opportunity, you open the floodgates to these highly specific predatory behaviors that really just thrive on physical distance and cultural assumptions.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone. We are strapping in for a very intense, high-stakes exploration today.
We really are.
Our source material is a video transcript from the Turning Point channel, specifically Episode 3, which carries this absolute warning label of a title, The Digital Minefield. 12 dating app archetypes to block instantly.
And the material here is essentially a survival guide. It's explicitly aimed at Filipinas who are navigating these international dating apps. It unpacks the severe contrast between what the source calls the sanctuary, so genuine, respectful partnerships.
The dream, basically.
Exactly, the dream, versus the reality of the digital arena, where foreign men often arrive with incredibly toxic intentions.
Okay, let's unpack this, because our mission for you listening is to help extract that survival guide. We want to help you take off the rose-colored glasses, right?
Spot on.
And really understand the underlying mechanics of exactly who is on the other side of that screen. Because the way this video describes the digital arena, it isn't just a pool of bad dates.
No, it's much darker.
It makes this wild claim that dating algorithms have literally weaponized the desires of foreign men, tracking profiles almost like prey. But I have to ask, how does an algorithm actually weaponize a desire? I mean, that sounds like science fiction.
It does, but it really comes down to how these platforms categorize and feed data. Dating apps, they rely entirely on engagement. So if a user consistently searches for, filters, and interacts with a specific demographic, in this case, Filipinas, the algorithm learns that preference.
Yeah.
And then it hyper-focuses it.
Oh, wow. So it just feeds them exactly what they want to see.
Exactly. It allows a man to sit thousands of miles away and filter human beings by geography, age, and perceived cultural traits.
Turning it into a catalog.
Literally. It effectively turns a search for a partner into a targeted shopping catalog. It isolates vulnerable profiles and serves them up to men who are looking for very specific, often highly exploitative power dynamics.
So the platform essentially hands them a highly efficient targeting system. That is chilling.
It really is.
Let's move into the actual threat catalog the video maps out. Starting with the men who exploit labor and biology. These are archetypes who view women purely as tools.
Right.
The first one the source identifies is the neocolonial master.
Yeah, so this is a man who is actively seeking a cost-effective domestic slave. He doesn't want a partner with a voice.
Right, he wants an employee.
Worse, an unpaid one. He targets the Philippines specifically because he's looking to bypass the cost of a maid, a cook, and a general life manager.
That's insane.
He expects the woman to handle all of his chores entirely for free. And on top of that, he expects her undying gratitude for the quote-unquote privilege of serving him.
Wow.
The source notes how he reduces her complex humanity to a cruel spreadsheet of saved money.
A cruel spreadsheet of saved money. That is such a heavy phrase. But I struggle to understand how this guy even gets a foot in the door.
What do you mean?
Well, it sounds less like dating and more like applying for an unpaid internship where the boss expects you to be eternally thankful. If a man posts a dating profile like that, he's going to get laughed off the app. How does this trap actually spring?
Oh, because the trap is completely invisible until the victim is already invested. The source introduces this concept of the blind digital arena.
Okay, a blind arena.
Yeah, this man doesn't announce his intentions up front. He masquerades as a traditional protective provider during the initial chatting phase.
Oh, I see. He uses the digital interface to project stability.
Exactly. The actual job description, the endless, grueling domestic labor, is totally hidden until the woman has emotionally committed. Or even crossed borders.
Which is terrifying.
Right, and at that point, the power dynamic drastically shifts and the trap snaps shut.
It's a bait and switch on a massive scale. And right next to him is an archetype that feels even more clinical, right? The biological surrogate.
Oh, yeah. This one is purely transactional on a genetic level.
Right.
The mechanism here relies entirely on legacy. This man views the woman strictly as a high-fertility incubator.
Just a means to an end.
Right. He wants offspring to carry on his last name, but he entirely dismisses the idea of the woman as an equal partner in building or leading that family. She's just a vehicle for his genetic continuation.
It completely erases her aspirations. It's like she ceases to exist as a person the moment the child is born.
Abs-
Now, the video also groups a set of men under what it calls the pure exploiters. And we really need to break down how these specific tactics work, starting with the borderline predator.
Yeah, so this archetype is hypersexualized and heavily porn addicted. But what's really crucial here is his methodology.
Right, how he actually operates.
Exactly. He will push for explicit photos within minutes of the first interaction.
Minutes. That's so aggressive.
It is, but it isn't just about gratification. The video explains it is an active mechanism for boundary testing. By making an extreme demand immediately, he is filtering for women who have weak boundaries.
Oh, wow. So if she complies, he knows he's found a target he can control.
Yes.
That completely flips the perspective. It's not just a guy being inappropriate. It's a calculated stress test on her defenses.
Exactly right.
Then you have the free nanny. This guy usually has kids back west, and he wraps his desperate need for free babysitting in the language of grand romance, right?
Yeah, he totally sells the fantasy of an instant loving family.
When in reality, he is outsourcing the grueling emotional and physical labor of parenting, work that he refuses to do himself or, pay a professional to handle.
Right, and we see a similar level of objectification with the trophy collector.
Oh, the trophy collector. He keeps a literal roster of Filipinas just to brag to other men on private internet forums.
It's so gross.
The psychology there is fascinating, though. He isn't even really interacting with the women for his own romantic fulfillment. He's using them as currency to buy status among other toxic men.
Right, he is triangulating his self-worth through the degradation of others. It's incredibly dark.
And rounding out the pure exploiters is the hero syndrome narcissist. This is a man who operates on the delusion that simply by being a foreigner, he is, rescuing the woman from her circumstances.
Yeah, the underlying mechanism there is a demand for godlike worship.
Right.
If he positions himself as the savior, he genuinely believes he is immune to criticism, to accountability, or the need to ever treat her as an equal.
The sheer arrogance of assuming your passport makes you a savior. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is.
But what stands out in the source is that the threat isn't always tied to physical labor or explicit objectification, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole different category of danger here.
The emotional drainers.
Yes, the guys who just consume a woman's time and mental space.
The emotional vampires. They use the digital connection to extract psychological sustenance.
Wow, psychological sustenance.
Yeah, the video starts this category with the bottom-tier validation seeker. So this is a man who is largely invisible or just unsuccessful in his home city.
Okay.
He logs onto these international apps to feed his starved ego on a Filipina's naturally warm, polite communication style.
Right, so he essentially uses her as a free, on-demand therapist and cheerleader. He has no warmth in his own life, so he just siphons hers.
Exactly.
But the next one, the fragile ego man-child, feels actively dangerous. The video highlights how rapidly this archetype shifts the moment you establish a boundary.
Yeah, the mechanism of the fragile ego man-child revolves around punitive control.
Punitive control.
Right, so the absolute second a woman says the word no or just asks for space, the mask slips. The affection instantly turns into vindictive punishment.
That's terrifying.
It is. It's a classic manipulation tactic designed to train the woman that setting boundaries results in emotional pain, basically forcing her to shrink herself to keep the peace.
He literally conditions her to stop saying no. That is deeply manipulative. And speaking of demanding constant peace and attention, we have the attention vampire.
Oh, this one is exhausting.
Right. This guy expects 247 access. Endless video calls while he's driving, while he's eating, even while he sleeps. I look at this and wonder, how does woman not immediately block someone demanding that much time?
Well, because he frames the intrusion as intense devotion.
Oh, he spins it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He convinces her that his constant presence is proof of his commitment, when in reality, he's entirely draining her career, her local social life, and her sanity simply to cure his own profound loneliness.
Oh.
He monopolizes her time, so she has no outside perspective to see how toxic the dynamic actually is.
But the source saves its starkest warning for what it calls the most emotionally lethal archetype on the internet. The avoidant love bomber.
Yes, this one is brutal.
This one relies on severe psychological whiplash. The tactic is to just flood the inbox with poetry Grand promises and talks of marriage, usually within the first 2 weeks.
Right. It's an overwhelming wave of affection designed to bypass normal critical thinking.
So she doesn't even have time to process it.
Exactly. The dopamine rush is the weapon here. He makes her feel like she is the center of his universe, which creates this intense artificial bond before any real trust has actually been built.
Right.
And what's fascinating here is the psychological twist the video points out why he inevitably vanishes.
Why is that?
The illusion shatters the exact second true real intimacy is required, meaning accountability, conflict resolution, or just showing up for her in a difficult moment.
He ghosts without a single trace. He's addicted to the fantasy of the honeymoon phase. The moment the relationship demands him to be an actual functioning adult partner, he evaporates,
Poof, gone.
leaving the woman completely disoriented. She's analyzing every message to figure out what she did wrong, when in reality, it was just a calculated hit and run on her emotions from day one.
Yeah, she just becomes collateral damage in his cycle of chasing infatuation and fleeing intimacy.
Now, spotting the guy who demands explicit photos in 2 minutes, or the guy who needs to be on a video call while he sleeps, that takes vigilance, sure, but the red flags are brightly colored.
Very true.
What really caught my attention in this material is what happens when the threat is disguised as a modern, progressive partner.
Ah, yes. This brings us to the grand illusions and the systemic traps of international dating. The danger of the 50-50 hypocrite.
I really need to unpack this one because on the surface, splitting things down the middle sounds like the definition of modern equality.
Right, it sounds totally fair.
This archetype proudly claims to be a progressive man. He demands a strict 50-50 split on his side, meaning the finances, the bills, the flights. But I struggle to see how this trap stays hidden. If a woman is holding down a high-powered career and paying half the rent, shouldn't she instantly realize when the math doesn't add up?
You would think so, yeah. But the mechanism of this trap relies on the invisible nature of mental and domestic labor. The dark irony of this fake equality is what happens on her side of the ledger. She is paying half the financial cost, sure, but she is stuck carrying 100% of the exhausting mental load.
Wow.
She carries the pregnancy, handles the sleepless nights of childcare, cooks the meals, manages the household schedule, and organizes their social lives.
So the financial equality is just a carefully constructed shield to protect his wallet,
Nah.
while he gets her immense, exhausting domestic labor entirely for free.
Exactly.
That is weaponized progressivism. He gets all the modern benefits of shared finances, but she is still bound by the most archaic, traditional expectations of running a household.
Precisely. And it creates a staggering imbalance. The video points out this exhausting reality. The woman is functioning at peak adult capacity.
Right. She's doing everything.
She is essentially the CEO of their lives, balancing a career and a household. Meanwhile, what is the modern man doing with all the energy he saves by not contributing domestically?
Here's where it gets really interesting. According to the source, he's reverting to a teenager.
Yep.
He's sitting on the couch acting immaturely, addicted to gaming, losing money on gambling apps or texting other women.
Yeah.
He simply refuses to grow up. She is shackled to a man-child who genuinely thinks splitting the Wi-Fi bill makes him a feminist.
It's absurd, and this extends beyond just the individual man into systemic cultural traps, too.
How so?
Well, when crossing borders, a woman isn't just navigating his expectations, she's stepping into an entire culture of suspicion. The source highlights the immense mental energy required to navigate prejudiced Western family structures.
Oh, that makes sense.
The woman is constantly forced to prove her worth, fighting to demonstrate she isn't some internet stereotype looking for a green card while simultaneously managing a man-child at home.
The sheer exhaustion of having to defend your character to his family while paying half his bills and doing all his laundry, it's a complete draining of her life force.
It really is.
Having mapped out this entire minefield, from the exploiters of labor to the emotional vampires and the fake progressives, the source pivots to the ultimate choice. It presents a fork in the road that every single woman in this digital arena has to face.
It is the unavoidable turning point.
Right.
The realization that the environment is hostile forces a crucial decision on how to proceed. And the source categorizes this into two paths, the bad turning point and the good turning point.
Let's examine the mechanics of the bad turning point first. How does a smart, capable woman end up settling for one of these toxic archetypes?
It fundamentally stems from loneliness, sheer desperation, or the sunk cost fallacy.
Sunk cost, right?
When a woman has invested months of time chatting with someone, or feels the societal pressure ticking away, she might start relaxing her boundaries. She ignores the blatant red flags of the fragile ego man-child, or she makes excuses for the avoidant love bomber's inconsistency.
Just to keep things going.
Yeah, she sacrifices her own dignity simply to keep the peace or maintain the illusion of a connection.
She trades a temporary fear of being alone for a permanent loss of her peace. And the tragic result, as the video frames it, is that she finds herself trapped in an exhausting survival mode. She traded a local problem for a suffocating, toxic international nightmare.
But the alternative, the good turning point, is where the source places its ultimate emphasis.
I love this part.
This is the moment of absolute, crystal clear clarity.
And the tone here is so incredibly empowering. The good turning point isn't about giving up on love. It's about recognizing your own immense, undeniable worth. It's the moment a brilliant, independent woman completely refuses to shrink herself down just to fit a foreigner's toxic fantasy. She decides to become the ultimate gatekeeper of her own life.
The psychology of the gatekeeper is profound. By understanding these archetypes, she removes the element of the blind arena.
She sees it clearly.
Exactly. She learns to spot the boundary testing of the borderline predator or the hidden agenda of the neo-colonial master from a mile away, and she blocks them instantly, without a second of hesitation or guilt.
She stops making excuses for their bad behavior. She takes the power, the filter, and the choice firmly back into her own hands. That completely reframes the dating app experience.
It really does.
You are no longer prey navigating a minefield. You are standing guard as a fierce protector of your own future.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shifts her from a passive participant hoping to be chosen to an active filter holding out for what the video calls a true anchor.
A true anchor.
And an equal partner who honors her mind, respects her boundaries, and contributes to the relationship in a tangible, adult way.
So, to summarize this incredibly intense journey, we started by decoding how algorithms weaponize desires, literally turning human beings into searchable commodities.
Right.
We exposed the neo-colonial masters and the biological surrogates who view women as spreadsheets and incubators. We explored the psychological hit and runs of the emotional vampires.
We analyze the insidious nature of weaponized progressivism with the 50-50 hypocrite and, the cultural exhaustion of navigating prejudice borders.
And finally, we arrived at that empowering fork in the road. The video ends with a direct, very heavy call to action for its audience. Are you going to be prey, or are you going to be the gatekeeper of your own life?
It is a question that forces a total reevaluation of self-worth. And it leaves us with a final thought to mull over, one that extends far beyond the realm of international dating.
So definitely.
If dating app algorithms are literally designed to track profiles like prey based on weaponized desires, optimizing for engagement over our well-being, what happens when we apply this fierce gatekeeper mentality to all our digital interactions?
That's a great question.
If we refuse to be a data point in someone else's cruel spreadsheet in romance, how might that fierce filtering change the way we let social media algorithms dictate our attention, our energy, and our self-worth in everyday life?
Wow, that really changes how you look at every notification on your phone, refusing to be a data point in any digital space. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Whether you're navigating the algorithms of dating apps or just trying to protect your own mental space online, we hope this survival guide helps you keep your standards high and your boundaries uncompromising. Stay sharp out there.
And remember, you hold the filter.
Until next time, keep those rose-colored glasses off.